Hi everyone, hello. Can you hear me? If you can hear my voice, you can respond in the chat so that I can know. All right, cool. So we'll wait for around 2 more minutes so that more people can come in, and then meanwhile a lot of people are here. Wow. Meanwhile, you can just enjoy to talk to other people in the chat box first. Okay. Okay, cool. So it's 6 o'clock right now. We'll start straight on the live straight away. So just to let you know, in case you cannot recognize my voice, my name is Veronica. I'm your MCP. I'm gonna be the main person that's gonna host the live today. And thank you so much for spending your time to be here, even though just now we have our government live as well. Yeah, then you're seeing my live now, no? So there are a few topics that we are gonna cover in this live itself. So just for the conversation flows to be a bit easier, I'm gonna talk, and the most probably the live is gonna be delayed a little bit, right? So you can just post your questions in the live chat. So along the way when I'm explaining and I'm coming back after each topics, you can just post up your questions here. So we can also respond immediately, and then I will also have one of my MC to help me to type down as a note taking for the questions, and also to put the answers lah. So I think MC will also check on your chat to know if you have any questions, so you can just ask anytime. Yep, that's the thing. Because this is gonna be very much just me talking, I cannot hear your voice as well because it's a live. So yeah lor, we'll just go straight into the agenda itself. So before I start officially with what are the things where we're gonna talk about in this agenda, there are a very interesting perspective or thought that I wanted to talk to you all before we go in deeper to the agenda itself, right? So maybe other than saying hi to other people, the people that are in the chat box now, you can let me know as well a bit like how have you been handling the coronavirus situations, and also how have you been feeling towards the entire situations itself, like facing coronavirus in your LC or even your own life. So I think for myself, I will share with you a little bit with my MC team, with the MC team, and also with my family and all. We have been talking about coronavirus a lot, but then I think recently when I'm going through a lot of the news that are happening regarding coronavirus, I think whether it's talking with MCPs from other entities, because everyone is facing the crisis, right? So one very interesting conversations that I personally myself am pondering a lot and also thinking a lot is how is the current. I think the best time when coronavirus is happening is the best time to reflect the current leadership of the world, including Malaysia, and also so many leadership crises in many companies, and also different sectors, because people need to respond to change very fast, right? So it's not just AIESEC in Malaysia, but you also observe how things are being managed and also led in your university, for example. So I have a few news to share with you, regardless of whether you have been reading or not. So, for example, the first thing that I'm showing you is a very interesting news that I read, which is from, this is a official statement from more or less like the Prime Minister of UK. So he was so whatever information I'm going to tell you here is more like a neutral approach of seeing how news and different countries have different approach in handling the situations. So for example, from UK, the Prime Minister was taking a very different approach as compared to many other countries. For example, Europe are all closing down, and also in AP, Asia Pacific, where we are taking a lot of precautions to test and also to prevent the things from happening, right? But this person has a very interesting approach, in the sense of he thinks there's no need of closing down, or that would not be UK approach, at least because in his own personal perspective, or how he's portraying situations were managed in the past, he actually thinks that by allowing more mobility to happen right now, that he doesn't need to keep any sort of precautions and things will actually help to build the immunity, and also of the human body system and eventually have the virus to be wiped out, for example. Yeah. So it's very interesting approach from UK because there are many comments that are both positive and negative towards the situations itself. And then let's say for China, now we have the latest news in terms of like how much China has been in under control, but there are also a lot of conspiracy and also contradict news in terms of how much China is being extremely transparent in the informations that the global media is receiving, and also the shortage of medical supplies and things like that in China, whether it's directly reflecting the controlling system, the system that is being controlled in China itself. So, for example, in Indonesia, which is something that was very interesting because initially when Malaysia was starting to report more and more cases, it's the same situations. We were all wondering, right? Like, hey, how come in Malaysia, Vietnam, and all these countries we are already reporting a lot, but we did not see any report of cases coming out from Indonesia, for example. So this is one of the example of like when actions are taken much slower and what is the consequence of only knowing the situations of the outbreak right now. And of course, the situation with Trump, that is more or less needless to explain. You can go and Google yourself in terms of Trump's perspective on coronavirus itself. So I think other than when I'm talking a lot with some of the LCPs that have been approaching me and things, or even my own MC team, you as AIESEC, one thing that I would like to have a conversation with you generally is also how does the situation of coronavirus actually reflect leadership and humanity at current situation of the world. I think this is the best time to really observe how the world has been responding to a real global issues that we are facing in every different sector and also, you know, every single different industry. And I think one thing I'm challenging myself and also my team is also the conversations of what kind of role AIESEC is proactively playing in this moment of time when we keep, you know, talking about youth leadership. So, of course, in today's breaking news, we're going to focus a lot on internal change, the operations, and things like that. But before I go into those topics, I think this is something personally as your MCP, the things that I wish you to start thinking as well, because you all are the leaders of this organization in this entity. So, you all come from the profile of national teams, LCVPs, and also LCPs. When you are facing these conversations with your member, with your EPs and all, how do you relate or whatever that is happening in the current real global context and global issues in comparisons to what is the role that AIESEC is playing? So I have so whatever I told you just now is about global news, right? So coming to something that is a bit closer to our daily life, for example, we are facing a lot of panic or purchase right now where people are rushing to get all the resources without considering what is the need of the society as a whole. So I come across this article that's very interesting. So if you want, you can search for it. This is from Times actually, where they actually discuss a lot about how leadership is being portrayed in current situations from the top level up to the bottom level. So a few of the conversation we have within the MC team today that I find it very interesting because in the past 2 weeks we have been firefighting a lot in terms of internally what should we do, how do we take care of everyone's safety, our members, our EP and everything. But one thing that I want the MC team to also think about is, for example, a moment like this, what role are we playing? So for example, there are a lot of contradicting news happening in the global media, but when we are talking to our own MC friends from different entities, we actually get to know situations that are very different happening in their country as compared to what is portrayed in the media, for example. And also at the midst of when a lot of people are criticizing more towards how bad each country is managing the situations and all, how much are we recognizing certain progress of leadership and also certain countries they are actually managing very well. And also how are we, you know, spreading more positivity and also more positive conversations at this period of time when everyone is very panicked. I'm not sure of the situations of your uni or the state that you are in. At least in KL, our office is in PJ. Everything is in a very tense situation because PJ is one of the area with the highest record of coronavirus cases, right? So I think that is a bit more of a different perspective or vibes that I wanted to bring to you or even your own team and also to the MC team as well, to not just see these situations as like a complete obstacles and thing, but to really see it as a chance where we can really have real conversations and to portray what we always have been talking about in terms of leadership and also AIESEC values as well. Yeah, so going to the agenda today, very quickly, what we are going to cover is basically a bit of like, I will let you understand what is AIESEC International Regional Office and also AIESEC Asia Pacific and also AIESEC Malaysia are doing in terms of handling the coronavirus crisis. A very brief one to let you understand what is happening regarding coronavirus and our organization, which is a global organization. And the main products we do is exchange. So for sure, the most impacted organization and also product is definitely going to be AIESEC, because we literally are going to be like the first line industry that are going to be affected, which is like, for example, the airline industry or the travel industry, for example. And also risk management in your LC, and also what are the non-negotiables. AIESEC in Malaysia, national directions, AIESEC in Malaysia as one, a lot more towards the communication that we should uphold now, and also a bit of Q&A sessions. So with everyone that we are having here today is the people from the national team, the ESTs, welcome to be here, the LCVPs, LCPs, as well as MC team as well. So I hope you can see this as a time where we really talk about how AIESEC Malaysia is managing as a whole, including LC situations as well. So you can also gain better clarity in terms of what you can do as part of your role as well. Cool. So first thing first, the slide will be sent to you right after as the output, but there is an official statement coming out from AIESEC International already, which if you click into it, it comes with a comprehensive slide and also a letter. But I think key highlights from AIESEC International is that we will not have any approval or realization before 1st of June. That is like the minimum that they are practicing right now, which is any realization that happened before 1st of June will not happen. And then depending on the entity situations and all, we are also firefighting. But if you want to know a bit more in details, I'm not going to cover all because there is a lot of details inside. So I will encourage you to read yourself. But however, to let you understand a bit like what is AIESEC Asia Pacific International and AIESEC Malaysia doing is all three layers of different decision-making body are all having risk management processes, which I will educate you later in terms of what does it mean by risk management, internally and also externally. Internally is a lot towards the internal processes, our products, timeline, membership, safety, and all this situation. External is a lot on our PR, our partnerships, the government relations, uni, and all this situation. Okay, so AIESEC in Malaysia is also updating and also keeping ourselves very much informed regarding Malaysia coronavirus situations, whether it's regarding membership and also EPs, because these are our two biggest stakeholders, and it's the same for AIESEC Asia Pacific. All the countries and entities, MCPs, are having a very close contact of discussions in terms of like, let's say, South Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Hong Kong, and all these countries in AP. What is the operation progress? Which entity has already completely stopped operations? How many EPs are still at where? How do we manage the situation? And also, we're keeping very close contact with WHO update as the final most trustworthy information to manage AIESEC as a global organization. And also international conferences management, because basically right now we cannot host any international touch point, right? So AIESEC International is the same. It's just that you can imagine whatever that happened in AIESEC Asia Pacific is upscaled to 4 regions, including Middle East and Africa, including Europe, and also including America. So what happened is we are in close contact of how is all the situations of all these entities and also all these EPs, and doing as much risk management processes as possible to ensure the safety of all our members and also all our EPs. Okay, so I also added a link there, which is the coronavirus webinar. This is the membership guideline that AIESEC Malaysia has already downscaled before this. If you forgot or you didn't manage to attend, please go and look through all the information in terms of how you should be communicating with different stakeholders and also your EPs, for example, in current situation. Yeah. So talking about risk management, which is so I've been talking a lot, right? Every layer is doing risk management. So what does it mean by risk management? I think a lot of government organizations and also companies are all going into risk management right now, which is a process that needs to happen when your organization is at risk. So for example, a government would not go into a risk management process out of nowhere, but normally they go into risk management, for example, when there's a war, there's a pandemic, and all this situation, which is like current situation now. So it's basically the identification, evaluation, and prioritization of risk, followed by entire applications of different resources and also strategies to monitor, control, and also minimize the risk, basically the consequence that would happen, and maximize whatever opportunities that we can still look into. So this is a very basic process of risk management. First, you assess what's the risk, you control the risk, you review the control that you have implemented, and then you identify new risks. Okay, so next on, I'm going to tell you a bit more towards nationally what we have done in terms of risk management to give you a bigger picture of what's happening in national level. However, so a little bit about risk management. So how does it reflect in LC level, right? If you are in LC and you are gonna have a risk management right now, what do you do? So you should have a PIC to manage risk or crisis, because let's say today there's a sudden case that happened regarding this partner or this EP. You can't have everyone in the whole LC to go and manage it, right? Because your EB still need to make sure that everything else is doing. So it's the same for MCVP, for example. We can't have all the ESTs and also MCVP to go down and solve the partnership crisis or EP crisis directly. So you should have people in charge to have an additional role to become the PIC that's managing the risk of crisis. Suggested profile to be LCP and also LCVPFR. Okay, so everyone should still hold accountable to their own functions, because we can't have everyone to manage crisis and not have the rest of the thing being guarded. And the risk management team should have a clear routine to manage crisis. So for example, do you report weekly basis in EBM to inform the whole team regarding what are the risks or the crisis that's happening in that week, and how do we move forward with the conversation. So however, I've been talking a lot about risks, right? But what are the potential risks though, like in terms of AIESEC as an organization? So for example, public relation, whatever conversation we are having to represent the organization, whatever that you post, right? If you were to ask people to go to South Korea right now, what kind of PR crisis you might attract? If you were to comment that no, it's safe to travel to this, or giving false information on your AIESEC page and all, what kind of public relation crisis that will create is very important. Information and message that we are channeling through our channels have to be completely safe and also correct, and also align. So financial risk, sustainability of our organization with current operation state and nation economy is going to impact either financial sustainability as well. So for example, LCs that you are having a PD-IGV or even MC that are having adult national partners, if you know now stock market is crashing, economy is crashing as well. It's not that critical yet in Malaysia, but however, when these things strikes, we are looking into the worst conditions of when or how much this will impact our income and also revenue, then how long can we still sustain with all the deliverables and revenues that we have to implement right now. And then member competency or capacity, because I think it's a very unique organization that we also wanted to take care a lot towards our own membership experience, right? So with all the experience that will be shifted, timeline that will become much longer, we probably is going to have only realization maybe happening only in winter, maybe not happening at all in summer anymore. And all these possibilities, how are we still taking care of our membership development path to make sure that they are not just staying in the organization but not doing anything, but turn them into the activators that can help to solve current situation instead. And of course, our customers' experience, right? Let's say you get approvals right now. Are we having late approvals? Are we having postponed realizations? And let's say when we are converting, what are the precautions that we are actually taking? Okay. So very simple. So this is basically the basics steps, a bit more in details that you can implement in your LC as well, if you want to assess what are the risks that your LC is going to face. Okay, so first, assess risks. What kind of assess that you can do? Financial situations, internal challenges, your products, your events, your strategy, your sales. What are the risks that you are facing now? Can they happen? Can they not happen? How much cost you need and all these things. Start from financial situation, because that's the most important one, right? All the FLPs and also LCPs. Everyone in the EB team should have a clarity towards how many months of financial reserve your LC can still have. What are you spending in each of the budget? What are you still spending and choosing not to spend at this moment of time? Assessing external threats, right? Government announcement, university relations. You have planned all your strategies and things you want to do. The next moment, your uni tell you that no, we are going to all go into virtual class, right? So how are you responding to all these different risks that are happening very, very rapidly? And also coming out with solutions or firefight situations. Your EPs, your parents, what kind of conversations are you having with them? Clear basis of decision, which means basis of decision is the most important thing here. You have to have a very clear decision-making body. For example, final decision of all these things, it will come back to LCP, FL, and LCP, for example. and how would you manage the entire LC in a very, very agile manner. Of course, basis of decisions means when you are making every decision, what is the priority that you are thinking of? In current situation, it will be a lot towards financial situation of LC and also your members' experience, for example. Once you assess the risk, you go into controlling risk, mapping out the potential scenarios and the solutions. So let's say in the case where everyone go virtual, this is the potential scenario and this is the steps, solutions that we are going to do. Scenario 2, scenario 3. And then evaluate the worst case scenario. The point of doing risk management is to really, really plan for the worst. Then, when you have the worst case scenario, you can consistently review to see if your solutions is relevant. So evaluate in the end, impact versus effort, and choose accordingly which are the solution that makes the most sense for your LC. Okay? Review your controls. So once you implement, review according to routine, update external and internal information all the time, review the decisions, and also communicate very, very consistently. And in the end, once you have implemented, you need to identify new risks. Are new risks happening? Review the decisions and also the communications as well. Okay, so just to show you how MC has been doing, for example, in terms of the temporary body that we come up with, they are managing risk right now. So first body we have is MCP, MCPPOD, MCPOP, and also MCVP PD-IGV. So for example, MCPOD, he's also doing crisis management PIC. MCPOP is also ICOM PIC. MCVP PD-IGV is also PR PIC. So what do we do in this risk management body? It's a bit more complicated because MC, right? In LC, you don't need so big body to be the risk management team, okay? So for you to know also who to approach if you have any crisis. So let's say from MCP wise, I'm focusing a lot on all the stakeholders communications, ROAI partners, alumni, SG, and all these people. MCT management, LCP management, and also key persons to guard the decision making body. Okay, who should make a decision on when? So MCVP OD, for example, on crisis communication, firefight external internal situation. So if anything urgent, very, very urgent that you need MC to help you and to firefight with you, the first person you should contact is our MCVP OD, which is Yao Yao, because he should be the most responsive one in reacting to the daily crisis that's happening in the entity itself. So MCVP OP, Fatih, where she's in charge of internal channels communication and also internal campaign management. In all the Insta story, Facebook, and all this internal communication that we are having, she's got to be the person who is regulating the conversations and also seeing what the network is receiving. So if you have any feedback or any suggestion in terms of like flow or things that you think MC should communicate more, you can always talk to her. MCB PD-IGV Travis, where he's managing a lot more on PR. So we are having a lot of partnerships management, synergy with marketing on social media and external communication to make sure that our brand is taken care. So in terms of FL, MPD, and PD-IGV, they are managing very, very tightly our cash flow to make sure that we have money to survive if we don't have revenue within this period of time, and also financial management, for example. So this is how we are forming a risk management team to manage the current situations. And if you want to understand what MC has been doing in managing these processes, so in terms of our product, the risk that we have assessed is like whatever you can see lah, products, internal, and also financial. I'm not going to go too deep here, just to give you a rough picture. So in terms of product, we have been assessing all the safety of EPs, partners, and all this situation, and control list, coming out with the strategies for products that will be run during this moment of time, and also reviewing controls in terms of so how are we channeling down to LC, National Implementation and Communication Channel, identify the risks which have the management team to continue to identify. So it's similar. In terms of internal, it's just more towards membership. How are we changing all the LCVC functional visits and things that I've arranged with you all, that we have arranged that cannot be carried out anymore? Conference cycle, for example, and also the rest of the things that you can see as well. And then in financial, we are counting all the amount of reserve. How do we cut costs and all these situations? And also proposing solutions like MC salary adjustment, MC and LC cash flow management, and then to see how we can sustain at current situations. So that's more towards the national part of how much we are doing risk management. Okay, so before I go to the next part, which is going to be even more informative, I'll give around 2 minutes for you to digest whatever that I've mentioned just now. And then if you have any questions, you can also put down before I go to the next part as well. Can you help to send the slide to the yeah.
I think 2 minutes is not
Just
enough
view.
because it's too delayed.
2 minutes for what?
I mean 2 minutes for them to digest this.
Ah.
Because it's very delayed.
Okay, peeps. So we will send the link slide link to the channel so you can click into it and review yourself. And also yeah lor, you can check on the slide while we are putting down the link for you. It's okay. They cannot digest too much. What is she saying? Suspend. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna proceed. So I hope that even though we are sending the slide, but you can still focus on the video itself, because then I don't want you to miss out any important informations, so that all of you can be there lor. So I'll give around 2 more minutes since we just sent out the slide, so you can have a look up until the part that I have told you. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think we will proceed first from now. If you have any questions, remember to just post, okay? And then we'll just try to answer as soon as possible. So next part is a lot more towards the operation side and also the tangible side. We are putting a lot more the focus in operations only. Operation change first before I talk about the back office. Which whatever that you see in this slide is more like a general areas, but you wouldn't understand much on this because it's just terms, which I'm gonna explain more in details later. So across the key products that are facing change is actually the GV products. Honestly, not so much on OGT and also IGT, because the product timeline is a bit longer. So it doesn't have any very reactive changes that are happening because of the situations, which I'm not gonna spend too much time on this slide. I'm gonna go into the details straight away so that you can also understand more what does it really cover. So what we are gonna cover in these coming slides is we're going to tell you the main strategies that are going to happen from national side, and then how would the national team structure be like to support the current situations, and what will happen to your customer flow within this period of time. But a very brief one, because supposedly your all the LCVPs, we are supposed to get more information in details and also L&D from your MCVP, but we are just doing here so that everyone can understand what's happening in the national directions, okay? So I will pass the first space to Amanda so that she can explain to us what is happening in IGV, okay?
So basically for IGV, there is 3 major changes on the strategy. First one is internal change management in terms of like how are we managing our realizations, how are we managing our operations and also our members. And then second one is more on IR strategy transformation in terms of how are we going to deal with our IR partners, how do we manage them in this period of time. And then last but not least is product showcasing, because even though if we can run operations or we cannot run operations, we still need to showcase whatever impacts that we have created towards our EPs, our IR and also our externals. So looking into the IGV structure in national level, I will still have the same batch of people who are running national operations. So mainly it will be separated into IR and marketing, and then also EST for project team. So for IGV marketing, Mini will be focusing more on social media management, so that we can share about our content in our social media and also showcase about our impacts and EP stories to our IR partners and also EPs. And then in terms of IR team-wise, I have 2 EST IR that will be managing it, and that they will be mainly doing summer change management in terms of how do we manage our IR partners, change management communications and stuff like that. And then also we winter planning with our IR partners. Let's say if we cannot run any realization this time, how can we actually start planning for winter and then start implementing for winter at the same time? And then for EST project team, they will be focusing more on the project changes because potentially maybe we will need to have local volunteers to join our projects. Maybe we will need to do a certain changes in terms of our project activities, and then also a little bit of change management alignment with all the LCs that are running either our national project and also our local projects. So going into two situations, first one is that if we have summer realizations, then there will be three main stakeholders that will be dealing. First one is local volunteer, IR partners, and also EPs. So for local volunteer wise, we will need to do more on community research to see what is the changes that we can do in our project activities so that while we are doing realization, we can also bring in our local youth to join our activities and do some community services. So the first change management is definitely project replanning to define whether we need to have any changes on activities, any changes on our timeline, and any changes on our realization duration. So when it goes to the customer flow, in application phases and all these things, we will be collaborating with OGV on local volunteer recruitment. And then in terms of our acceptance and also approval, we will be doing local volunteer selections. And then our main target EPs will, local volunteer will mainly from OGV attractions. And then in terms of realization, finish and complete, it will be more like an EP experience, realization experience where the key stakeholders that is doing realizations are our local volunteers together with our AIESEC volunteers. So going into IR and EP, let's say if we can still run summer realizations, however, we are already projecting a certain reductions in our EP number. That is why potentially we will not be able to run all the summer projects that we have already planned. That is why we will look into more on cutting down our summer projects to make sure that we have enough of manpower, enough of efforts put into really making summer happens with the certain numbers of projects. Then when it comes to change management, it will be more on ensuring that we do proper change management communication to our IR partners and at the same time monitoring our IR situation, whether they can still send EPs come into Malaysia, whether Malaysians are doing any border restrictions to our IR partners or certain things like that. And then when it comes to the customer flow, from Apply itself, we will make sure that we do IR and project filtering because like what I mentioned in the change management, maybe our government are restricting certain entities profile. Maybe our OGV IR are also having certain issues where they are having more and more cases and things like that, and then they cannot send EPs come. So that is why we need to filter our IR to see which IR partners can we still work on and which we cannot. And in terms of project filtering, because we have a certain cut down in the project, so maybe we will need to filter out what are the projects that we are still going to decide to run in this summer, and then what are the projects that we need to cut out. And then those that we are still going to run, that is the only project that we will be promoting to our IR partners. So when it comes down to our consideration phases, we will need to have a consistent approval monitoring because there will be a lot of changes in terms of pre-approvals, shifting of approval and things like that, so that we need to have a proper monitoring processes and also better expectation alignment. In case there is any break approval, how are we going to deal with this with IR partners, and how are we going to work on the communications with IR partners as well. And then for EP side, change management will be more on approved EP shifting across project. So for example, let's say if I run Speak Up and clean our plate projects at the same time in my LC. So potentially maybe I will need to cut down one project, but at the same time I already have approved EPs. So what do I do with them? I shift them to another project to make sure that I concentrate my EPs in a few projects only. So that is what we mean by approved EP shifting across project. And then when we go down to apply, accept, approve, then we will need to make sure that while we are having operations, we still run SOP implementation to make sure that whichever applications that we have in XBAR, we can still process them and working on the process time, considerations, and things like that. And then at the same time, also make sure that we have approval expectation setting in terms of, let's say if EP already bought their flight tickets and then suddenly they cannot come, and things like that, then that is the terms and conditions that we need to look into. So realization will be the same. We need to considering monitoring our realizations and also doing complete management. So going into no summer realization situations, let's say if we cannot run any realizations in this summer, then we will need to do summer postponement or winter project opening earlier so that we can start approving EPs and running winter projects. Okay, so that is the things that we need to considering build winter momentum and do stakeholder nurturing in terms of our IR and our EPs. So change management will be more on IR partners. Maybe we will need to do winter replanning earlier with our IR partners. And then with EP, we need to start winter attractions. And then when we go into the customer flow, whatever summer approvals that we already have, let's say if we cannot run summer realizations, then just directly shift all those EPs to winter projects and then nurture them consistently to make sure that they are being consistent, engaged, and they know what is the things that is expected for winter projects. And then definitely approval monitoring as well to make sure that if we really approve them in next winter, we need to make sure that they are being engaged. So at the same time, we will also do social media engagement to showcase more of our EP story, because let's say if we cannot run any realization in summer, there will be no story for us to showcase. So we will need to use a current EP that is in winter or last summer to showcase the story so that our EPs know what are the things that we are doing. Yeah. So that is basically for IGV, and then I'll pass it down to Travis for PD-IGV.
Hi everyone, so now it's my turn. So basically, the following part would be about the change management regarding on PD-IGV. Yeah, so same with IGV, so I will talk about the major change area first. So basically separated into three strategies. Yeah, the first one is about the local volunteer and AIESEC volunteer. So I believe that Amanda has mentioned already. Yeah, so in this area, we'll separate it into three mainstream, which is partners engagement, which aims to nurture the partner towards AIESEC Malaysia operational update. For example, our timeline delay, or we are changing to local volunteer, and also our internal capacity building as well. Because if, let's say, we are selling the new project with local volunteer, then the whole value proposition will be different already, and we need to get ourselves ready for that. Second of all is about the project closing down. This one is helping us to prioritize the project with sufficient resources to kickstart. For example, several projects may have more support from partner regarding on financial side, school partner, or originally the project have a lot of attraction. So these are the projects that we may prioritize in a first top focus on that. And then lastly, it's about the change management. So it's about the network capacity building on the project restructure and also information asymmetry. Because a lot of the time, you will have a lot of project innovation and also changing, improvement. For example, the scale or the duration of the project may be decreasing because of the local volunteer. And also we need to synergize with finance on how we are doing money raising on that. And then second area will be about the PR and also marketing for IGV, separated into two aspects. First of all is about the channel management, which aims to nurture the network on content creation and also the B2B, business to business routine via some B2B channels, for example, like LinkedIn or email. Yeah, because now we are doing a lot of virtual engagement with our member, but for us as an external representative, this virtual touchpoint not just only lie between on our side internally, but also externally to our partner as well. So always remember showcasing the what we are doing in our entity to the partner so that they know more about us, our branding, so that they get attracted through what we are doing. Yeah. So it is highly related to the second part because this is about the impact report showcasing. Yeah. So it aims to showcase the our project impact as a national body with professionalism. And the last area is about the external engagement for fundraising. Basically, it's about doing research on the new strategies on money raising for the LC. Yeah, so for the first part, I would say on the research phase, aims to collect information for different channels that we can leverage on about the revenue stream. And then only we will go into the second part, which is about the capacity building to ensure our network are ready for that. Yeah, so for example, let's say the sales pitching case competition can be one of them. Then our L&D need to be customized with the reality after our research is done. Lastly, we go into the strategies execution. So for example, let's say if we're really doing a case competition, then the execution part, maybe we need to do the case competition coaching as national team side. Yeah, so this will be the things that we'll be doing. So according to the national team structure, so under PD-IGV, we got 6 EST. So for the first focus, which is about the AIESEC volunteer and local volunteer, my EST on NetPro, on Speak Up, COP, and also GFGI, as well as the EST for NCR, they will be doing the project screening, partnership engagement, and project coordination, which are the 3 areas that I just mentioned. And then for the second part on PR and marketing for IGV, which is related to channel management and also project showcasing, will be handled by my EST for B2B, which is Sabrina. And then lastly, for the external reference on fundraising, which is including researching, capacity building, and execution monitoring, would be handled by my EST, global host, and also NetPro speaker, because they too have the past sales experience as LCVPPD. So that's why I'll prioritize them and play their strength on this area. Yeah. And then regarding on the change, right? So if you can notice, highlighted in green will be LC level, and then highlighted in yellow will be EST level. So for the first area about local volunteer and AIESEC volunteer for partnership engagement. So since we are changing to local volunteer, right? Then before we engage with our partner, here, definitely, we need to understand the value proposition of local volunteer. Then only when we understand that, then we can proceed to the sales proposal, which include two options for our partner. First of all, is that we'll go with our EP, like international EP in our project. If let's say the situation is under control in the later time, let's say in June, July, or August. And second option, we give them local volunteer. Yeah, so here in lead contacted, suppose we need to prepare a proposal with two options for the partner already. Then after when we schedule a meeting with partner, when we bring into the meeting, we need to let the partner to know about what is the situation happening in Malaysia and AIESEC Malaysia as well, so that we do a partner sensing and expectation on the local volunteer that it may be appear to replace EP, and then we lock down the deliverable. If the partner is okay with that, then you need to set an expectation. The duration may be less than 6 weeks of the project, maybe 4 weeks, because the local volunteer, their availability usually is less than EP. Yeah, then you can proceed with the partnership. If let's say the partner is not okay, then you can see whether the deliverable postponement will work. If let's say it works, then you can postpone to winter. And then if let's say the partner is still not showing a positive response, then I would suggest you to not proceed with the partnership. And then if let's say you want to retain partner, the flow is same with the meeting held here. And then for project closing down, the criteria screening will be handled by my all EST just now mentioned. Yeah, because they need to know which resources that each of the projects is having. For change management and coordination, so basically we need to synergize with IGV, finance, and OGV regarding on our project planning, amount of that we need to raise, and also local volunteer profile understanding. Because we are selling the project and also the local volunteer to our partner, we need to understand them as well, and OGV know them the best, so that's why we need synergy to happen. Second part will be about the PR and marketing for IGV, so separated into two parts, channel management and impact report showcasing. So for EST, for Sabrina, basically she will be doing a lot of L&D on channel management, how we play our strength in LinkedIn, a different business channel, and also content creation. Yeah, and ensure that all the channel are aligned. We are centralizing our project page, LinkedIn, email engagement, and create content calendar. And then for LC level, basically you will be assigned certain period of time that you will be posting your project content or some content creation related to your IGV project on LinkedIn. Yeah, so it's more about your internal progress, your preparation, and project impact. Yeah, and then for impact report showcasing, it will be liaising more on national team size. Yeah, about data collection and generation and showcasing. Yeah, so these are supposedly happen in lead generation. And lastly, it's about the external engagement for fundraising. So separated into three phases, just now what I say, research on the revenue stream. If let's say no exchange allows situation is happen, and then we provide L&D downscale to network. And then LC will be playing a very important role in the strategy's execution, and the national size will be monitoring and also giving support onto that. Yeah, so basically this is the part update for PD-IGV, and then I'll pass the time to Veronica first.
Okay, cool. So because there are a lot of information that's been passed down, to recap quickly in terms of the situations of IGV, whether it's for PD-IGV and also IGV. As you can see, the main change over here is that, as I told you, a lot of the stakeholders that we are working with, there are many changes that are requiring. So we are mapping out all the scenarios in terms of, like, let's say realization majorly would not be able to happen. The most we can have is only some organic realization, for example. We're looking at the situation where projects that still need to be run. For example, how are we managing the partners? How are we still fundraising to keep up with the financial situations and also have local volunteers to run? But I think one highlight is to really look at the effort that we are putting in marketing, right? Because all this while, we have been talking a lot of time in terms of like IGV, we have been doing a lot of projects, but we don't have time to showcase them, to let the society to know what we are doing, to let our IR partners to know what exactly we are doing. So that's why you can see a lot more strategies are focused on things that we always want to do, but we do not have time. So for example, all the impact report, showcasing external report, videos and photography and content marketing, for example. So I think that's more like the approach of IGV. And then now I will pass to Irene to talk more towards OGV.
All right, okay. So it's me, Irene. So this is the OGV change management. So before I go to really detail, yeah, I have a quote: stay positive and it will be blossom, okay? And then the main thing that like we involve in here for OGV strategy is first of all, maintain and nurture the lead and customer is still in the funnel, and it's the most important one because currently I think for this summer peak, we do quite good regarding have attraction and have a lot of visitor and also lead as well. And also still have people are in the state of apply, accept, approve. So how can we maintain this kind of customer, let them understand more about global volunteer and how why we do what we do, and make sure that after the coronavirus we can convert them. And the second of all is actively engage network with GU to create the chain as well, which is those kind of thing is not only done by the MC, but majority will done by you together with MC, and also strengthen market understanding and winter peer attraction. Because if you know, right, because in this summer peak we were rushing for our operation, so a lot of market research and everything is not done tightly, and also for winter pre-attraction as well. So this is a good time for us to actually sit down and do those kind of things. And the good thing is now your customer, which is the student, also stay at home, so it's a very good chance for you to actually approach them and actually understand what's their behavior. So the main strategy is actually target on three area: local volunteer, which is collaborate with a lot with IG and PD for IGV. So local volunteer here cannot replace by global volunteer. It's just a sneak peek of global volunteer, but it's a space for them to actually understand how like global volunteer look like, and they have more interest and they feel the impact more as well and develop in themselves. Community management is actually bigger than local volunteer, which we have more approach, for example, regarding like information that give for them the motivation part regarding returnee, and also regarding email marketing, how we actually send the information, give the right information for the right people. And then the last but not least is market research, which we again understand how to do market research in current situation with a really clear approach, which we don't have the physical activity anymore. So how can we have the right approach for the customer? And then for the change management regarding HR management, right? So first of all, my agency for local marketing, she will focus on IGV operation as well, because as you know, she is VP IGV of UPM, so she will focus on IGV operation. Because if IGV cannot like sustain, which is when we send our lead to local volunteers, also cannot sustain as well. So for the sub team under OGV director, which is Karen, so we will ship one ESC to focus on LV, which is local volunteer. And then the rest of the people will still focus on customer experience and also international relations. So for marketing sub-team, we will have three marketing team, we have two more sub-team. So first sub-team is community management sub-team. So which is the team that taking care for the whole community and local volunteer execution. So make sure that we nurturing the customer from visitor to approval, okay? And then social media sub-team is the one that take care for branding and like attract people into our funnel. It's not like attract in terms of like, yeah, let's go global volunteer and everything. So regarding that part, right, it will have more guidance for you. And then for sure, these two teams will work more with you rather than before, because we will have a lot of booking space and then team workforce group in order to do together between MC and also LC. And then for network management, which is the chain in terms of 3D. So if you can see in here is the three teams that we are having now in OGV, no matter it's digital market, developing market or penetrating market. So we have marketing, sales and CXP. So you can see this is together is the chain in terms of 3D of view. So in terms of structure, right, which is like how can we actually get the enough people. So currently we have a lot, so we will do a lot in terms of social media, which is our digital marketing. But in order to have that right, we need to have content being created. So together with ESC, marketing team will have form a group in order to have the qualified content and actually can proceed to do the posting and also getting the result. And the second of all is WhatsApp and Telegram for your each university to actually pass the information and get a lead. And also email marketing is for really much around you actually can engaging again the MRE database, you speak forum before database and GT, GE lead as well. Okay, and then from visitor onward, which is the sales team responsibility, we have 3 approach in here. First of all, local volunteer, second of all, IR and lead nurturing. So for local volunteer, so because local volunteer in here, right, is more about like how can you convert your lead, your visitor, your apply asset approved currently, until to like let them to join local volunteer. So this one will take charge by both for this developing market and penetrating market as well. So your role as well is to make sure the selection process happen together with IGV side, okay? And for IR is updating IR situation regarding how is the government like situation and coronavirus and everything. And this one will only take charge by the developing market, which is the team that taking care for IR. And lead nurturing is more about like engaging again for the returnee and make sure that returnee content regarding brand advocacy and sharing their experience. Also only in charge by developing market as well, because only developing market have the pool of the returnee is that much, okay? And then for customer experience, together with these 3 approach, we have 3 different focus of CXP, which is very important. So we treat our LV is a sneak peek of global volunteer, right? So we also have preparation experience and also post experience for LV. So this team also taking care of preparation experience and also make sure the call to action after the LV. And then for IR is make sure crisis management for approval and also realization. So let's say for realization, right? The EP want to break a realization and maybe the host country cannot allow the EP to stay anymore. So what is the procedure of it? Who you should talk with in the MC? And also for approval, if the EP want to break approval, right? So how can we make sure the postpone realization it happen, okay? And then for sure it's winter complete management, because we still need to make sure it's happen. Nothing to do regarding we can do complete or not. You still need to do. And then the last on but not least is together with IGV we build LV standard, which we make sure that like all the lead is well taken care and everything, and then they can actually become our customer later on as well. Okay, all right. So this is from OGV, and now I will pass back again for Vera.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Irene. So I think one thing to remind here, because there is a lot of information that has been channeled, but then I think the key things that we are looking here is not towards like needing you to understand everything in details and also to remember everything, because as I mentioned, each of you will be in charge of your own functional part, and then the MCVP will do a lot more L&D and also working space with you to manage the change. But I think one key very important message to look through the whole big picture of things is we're having a lot of synergy innovations between, like, let's say, how IGV and OGV can work together to support the current situations when, let's say, global volunteer cannot happen. And of course, I will cover more in the topics later in terms of why we come up with all these decisions and things like that. But I think key things, especially LCPs and EST, you need to know how does all this change happen in the biggest level of the strategy, in terms of what is the key focuses of OGV and also IGV. So in OGV, it's about the same as I told you just now in IGV. We are focusing more on local volunteer and also IR management, and also at the same time a lot more on marketing and also funnel management, which is a lot on the things like market research or all these things or brand advocacy and all these situations, where before that we rarely have time to do it properly. So that is more like the situations of where we are focusing. And then I think for GT, IGT and also OGT wise, we wouldn't have that much of a shift as mentioned, and OGT will still continue to focus a lot more towards IR situations and also finding projects that are suitable to be matched. And then for IGT situation, the focus is still on sales and also offline matching itself. Okay, so I think there's a lot more towards the change in products. However, I think next part that comes, so remember to always keep close with your EB, especially PD-IGV and IGV on the synergy part, and also now even your synergy with your OGV peeps as well, okay? So really work closely as a product team together to find out how you all can work most effectively each other. But I think on the next part, right, which is also the most important part, what is the role of back office in all these situations of change and things that are happening? I can tell you that back office play a very, very important role, super important, especially at a moment like this, because the key things that we are managing a lot in terms of sustainability and risk management is exactly on our membership experience and also financial situation, right? So in MC wise, this is also where I'm working with my MCVP OD, working with my MCVP MC Director TM, and also MCVP FL to work on all these situations. So for TM and FL, knowing what change in your operations is very important, and also the situation of your university. For example, that now everyone has to go back home. No one is in uni anymore. So what is the change in TM and FL as a supporting, as a back office department, for example? So TM, virtual performance management, and also team standards, virtual L&D, ICOM and R&R, capacity management. So one of the things that I really want to highlight in terms of the role of TM here is this is the time where you need to get everyone in your LC together and to really bond them together virtually, right? So how creative you can be in terms of the icon that you're running, you want to screenshot all the virtual meetings that you have and all these things. Because at a moment like this is when members are all separated and it's very hard to keep people in the loop of, keeping in tracks of things and things like that. So how are you portraying as an EB team, especially supporting the whole team together? TM playing the role to, guide the whole EB team in terms of how to make the whole LC together is very, very important. So in FL, we have also very, very important roles to remind you, which is very important for my MCB FL as well. Invoice payment plan. All your NAF and all these current situations that are going to happen, how are you counting different scenarios and also budgets and also situations to make sure that your LC can sustain? LC cash flow, especially those that are having receivables, have you communicated with your partners right now or the organization in terms of when can you get back the receivables? Because this is when not just AIESEC in Malaysia or AIESEC in UPM or AIESEC in KP are having cash flow issue. Every company is having cash flow issue because no one foresee this coronavirus things to happen within such a short period of time. And also risk management. How is the situation with UR? What is the situation with legality that's happening? Okay, so whatever that we mentioned just now is very much on the technical side of what will happen tangibly, how will change happen, how will strategies happen, and all these situations. However, the things that are coming next, which is a bit more on the soft sides of things that are being managed, which is on the people side, right? How do we manage people at a moment like this, or how do we communicate? So a lot of the time when crisis happen, the key thing that will bring everything down is usually never the system, it's usually never the strategy, and it's usually never about the, whatever plan that's not working and things like that. But for me, the key things that will bring the whole things down is only one thing, which is the communication flow. How much are you communicating effective enough at current situation is usually what is going to decide whatever that you do is going to be succeeding or not. Okay, so in terms of AM level, right? So as you can see, I'm drawing a lot of circles and things. So what does it represent is how much of the overlapping in terms of all the stakeholders that we are working with. So for example, MC, just in AM itself, we need to communicate with partners, national team, LCP, and also LCVPs, like all the stakeholders that we are moving and also involving in the conversations, right? So in LC level with LCP, LCVP, you have your MT of your members and also your EPs. So this is just in terms of AIESEC in Malaysia, communication flow, right? And then the next part, if talking about MC as a higher level, who are we working with? We are keeping close contact with our IR partners, regional office, and also AIESEC internationals. So if you can see, the whole communication flow, we can say the stakeholders management in AIESEC in Malaysia is actually really big, right? So just on MC itself, we need to talk to regional office, AIESEC international, all the IR partners, all the different entities, national team, LCP, and also LCVPs. Then we also need to manage partners, and at the same time, you also have your own communication flow. So it's extremely important to keep clear of the communication flow that we are having and be very clear of what are the messages that are channeled and also not be too reactive on different things. So of course, from MC side, what I wish is that we can always respond to you 24 hours. But honestly, I do not think so based on my experience in the past 2 weeks and also being MC for 2.5 years almost. I think no matter how fast we want it to become, a lot of channeling of information, a lot of time need more time to process because we can't be too reactive. So on the part where we are downscaling a lot of strategies and things for you to understand, one thing that I need from you is also to have a very realistic conversation within your own LC. When you get all this information down to your LC, things that are very important is how much are you looking into your own LC situation, and then the things that are proposed by MC, how can these two pictures map? because you're not going to do 100% of what we say as the things to move forward. But things that I need you to do is to bring these suggestions or ideas back to your own LC, do your risk management plan, open up your plans and look at the things, talk to the other as a team. How can we move forward? Choose your battle within the next few months and then just go with it. Because it's a time where everything is changing, actions need to be taken very fast, and you don't have that much time to keep planning for the perfect plan because things are changing every week, right? So communication behavior that we are expecting is very simple. Make sure you are at the channels that we are communicating. All your Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, and all these things, make sure you are there and also be responsive. Make sure you are following up in a consistent basis when there are messages and news being posted. Keep your team accountable as one. Remind your EB, remind your LCP, remind your team, EST as well, remind each other to keep each other updated and try to get full information before passing the message. Don't pass around a lot of fake news lah. Like for example, suddenly, hey, we don't do exchange anymore lah. Hey, we're not doing this anymore and things like that. Unless it's official and it's confirmed, or else don't spread around messages that are not real or official. Personal wins, right? So what does it mean by personal wins? Which is my own suggestion to you at whatever role you are having in AIESEC in Malaysia. This is the things that for me is a minimums or bottoms that you need to have, because this is a time where everyone is facing change and there are so many things that everyone need to take care of. So at least the least thing that everyone can do is to take care of themselves. So how to take care of yourself is very simple. First, define clearly with your leader and your teammate your responsibility, timeline, and also MOS. You will be the final person in charge of defining what you're going to do in your term, right? To make sure that you have a clear responsibility, timeline, and definition of good, which means I don't want to put the responsibility fully to LCP. Like for example, no, I don't know what to do now because my LCP never told me. Your LCP has a lot of stakeholders and also many different people that they need to manage as well. Or let's say, no, because MC didn't tell me what to do, so as EST, maybe I'm just holding the role, not knowing what to do. I would say take a bit more of proactive approach to talk to your MC like, hey, I'm having this role, but maybe my JD is unclear, or I understand from national direction I should be doing this. How can we move forward, right? So define clearly with yourself, make sure you are clear of your own scope of responsibility and think of the end objective, which is everything that I told you today in this 1 hour. What are your role in contributing to the picture? Like let's say if I'm an EST content marketing, but looking at this whole situation of AM, what do I want to put it as clearly as my role as EST? So let's say I take EST IM as example, I'm supposed to build AIESEC Hub, Yona, right, for example. So my own personal win, I want to make sure that all the information are first-hand being passed to every single layer of members within this period of time, because that is my unique contribution to these situations to make sure information are passed accurately and also fast in this situation. Let's say if I'm NST, I'm EST in charge of doing ICOM, I will be working very closely with Fatih to make sure that the entire entity can be informed about what's happening. So it depends on you. Let's say I'm EST speak up, I want to make sure all my partners are understanding the situations and really knowing what are the consequences that we are mapping here. So each of you play a very unique role by looking at this picture, these stakeholders that we are managing in contributing to the situations, and we really need everyone to make sure that they are doing their role so that we can complete the whole picture and make sure we move forward as an entity in this crisis, okay? So, being leaders, I have a bit more information for you, which is very important in this moment of time to learn how to zoom in and also zoom out. So what does it mean by zoom in and zoom out? Zoom in is when you go into a reactive mode, you go into a risk management mode, and you need to firefight very bottom and ground situations, right? Let's say when you zoom in, things that you think in your mind, communication flow in place, space to firefight in EBM or meetings, when you attend national space for changes, this is all the time when you are preparing yourself in the, firefighting mode. Coordinate with crisis management with the person in charge in your LC. But sustainable mode is super important as well, especially for back office people. You really need to think of member experience in a long-term basis. From now, March until next year, February when I end my term, right? How will my member experience and capacity building be? Sorry, you don't end. Yeah, you end them at next year, February, for example. LC financial sustainability, team and process implementation, LC innovation space. All the things that we have been saying we don't have time to do. Like let's say I've been running Speak Up in the past 3 years, but actually I don't know how good is the quality of the project. Or I've been running in the past 3 years, I never had one video recorded properly. This is all the time when you can go into sustainable mode. work on things that when you have time, on things that are helping your LC to move in a longer term basis. And when you go into risk management work, when you zoom in, it's in a firefight spaces. So these two, zooming in and zooming out, are equally important. And I suggest to lock down your own time. Like let's say daily, I will go into risk management mode. Maybe weekly, I will look into sustainable mode, for example. Yeah. So final tips is remember, personally from myself to you working at current situations, membership capacity is very important, competency. They do not learn by web minutes. Very, very honest with you. They do not learn by learning skills online of how to create a poster. They learn how to create a poster when they create a poster. So remember, 70% of learning comes from practical, 20% come from coaching, and 10% come from theory. So always, if you want to teach your members something, you must give them an assignment or a task. Whatever that you innovate, don't ever conduct learning that only stay on the slides or only stay on a webinar like what I'm doing now to you. Stay agile and connected, communicate frequently, and be responsive to all the stakeholders that you are having now. Keep up with the preparation that change might happen anytime. Be innovative. Take the time to develop yourself, do things you never do before, do things in LC that you always think you don't have time to do. Okay? Maybe editing that photos of the team photo that you have, like what we did, because we finally have time for some team photos. And then remember, your members' experience should be different than yours. So you are LCVP, you are national team, right? Your member are not going to do the same thing like you. Like let's say Amanda is telling me all these things that I need to change in terms of local volunteer, talking to my partners and all these things. But remember, your member just come in. So anyhow, you need to remember their experience should be ground, practical, and come with actions. So in all the things that you do, don't do everything by yourself. Okay? Make sure your members are kept in the loop of all the things that you are doing and empower them, allow them to fail, allow them to experiment so that they have all this ability to also be part of the operations. And keep your routine. Never lose your routine even though it's virtual. If you need to have virtual meeting, please do so. Screenshot and show to your LC all the time to keep everyone. Be creative in your ICOM. You can, let's say, do some T-Live delivery to people who have virtual department meeting or however. So to keep your people in your LC fund. Yeah. So a bit more Q&A, for example. So are we stopping operations? No, we are only slowing down our promotions. Only promotions, not operation. We do not actively promote exchange now because we shouldn't send people out for exchange during this period of time. But organic conversions that happen will still be processed with potential to postpone realization with certain precaution steps and also expedition steps. Okay, so are we still working with IR? Yes. At moments like this, it's very important to keep your communication with your IR to understand their direction and their situation. Also be aware of the information that you're going to get from your MCVP. How should I communicate with my EPs? You can check out the coronavirus webinar to know how to communicate with them. And I will open up the space for more people to ask more questions. Anything that you want to ask me regarding membership management or however. So I will start answering since we got some questions from Kok Feng, for example. Okay, so this is Feng from LC, Prime Minister Media Conference, India, 600. If so, this is very interesting, but very sad to say. I think we do not have a KWSP account because AIESEC Malaysia is registered as an organization. Yeah, so we do not have the usual KWSP system or SOSO and all these things for MC as well. But thank you so much, Kok Feng, for reminding us on that. We will definitely look into it and also see how we can maintain the situations as well. Yeah. Affect the current MC budget, and is there an average? I think we are gonna have a sessions with LCVP FL and also LCP to look into all the information of the financial situation, or I can explain to you a bit on how are we managing the financial situation. So we are not looking into immediate actions like let's say, hey, we are gonna cut NF. It doesn't work like this. We are having all the month of financial reserve from each LC, and for LCs that are critical, we are looking into all the delay of NAF payment and things like that, mapping out each of the situation with Finance Subcom and also LCBFL and also MCBFL to make sure that LC financial cash flow and also financial sustainability are also taken care in the entire ecosystem itself. So it's a lot more in the detailed situation of looking into each LC situation instead of just, putting into a statement like, no, we'll cut down 50% on NAF and things like that. So I think the minimums that we are ensuring is to at least ensure that LC is also sustainable when we are also in the process of ensuring MC sustainability as well. Because for your information, the biggest cost that we are having is not just in terms of HR costs, but also in terms of receivable from LC that we are still having a big amount there. We are not getting LC to clear their debt yet. And also on AI fee payment and all these coming situations that globally, we are not having a stop in terms of AI fee payment, for example. So I think it's a lot more in detailed discussion, but it will be brought forward to the entire finance community. Okay, so if that answers to you, you can let me know, or if not, you can ask more questions. How should we communicate with approved EP in summer who have already bought their flight ticket if we change to LV mode? Do we need to reimburse for approved EP according to SPP? I think for Pauline, the question is very specific. I would suggest you to direct straight away to your MCVP because we're not going to discuss in details here. But you do check out the coronavirus webinar first because they already cover a lot of the situations in terms of like, let's say when they are pre-approved or however, what are we handling as of the situation. But I think maybe Amanda, you can also text or drop the message there straight away so that I can answer to them. Okay, next. Oh, Chris is, thanks, we have a EST legality that help us on that. So is it still necessary to do MRD? Where is it, the question? Wei Han, which LC are you from? There is no like situation with MRD now. There's no any reason now we cannot do MRD right now. You should just go with whatever that you plan in terms of your talent capacity and all, talent planning. Because the situations is, we are not stopping any operations. Instead, we are just changing the core focus of what we have on exchange and also operations. So you can still hold on. It's just that a bit of the challenge that you might be facing is how are you going to manage your peeps if they are coming in as a new members and they are already going into a virtual touchpoint, for example, or what is the potential physical touchpoint that you can have with them as the earliest. Okay. Local volunteers, will there be change management? Is this? No, it's not considered as approved on EXPA. Details, we will put it to the OGV functional track because we cannot cover everything here. But change management are all ongoing in terms of standards and also fee, but it's not considered as a change. Okay. Few questions. Projection is the end of. Are we still incurring global volunteer during this time? Promotion will officially stop until mid of April as of now. But that's why the things that I'm telling you is keep yourself updated with the conversations because honestly, globally and even in government or even in different companies and all, no one has an answer to these situations. So the latest things that we are doing is no promotion until mid of April. Doesn't mean stop operation. Promotion is different, which means we don't actively promote global volunteers. And no realization until 1st of June. That is the official situations. Then we'll keep updating more on when would promotions be coming back or whether it's like possible to start and all. But that's why in all the strategies that you see, we are not doing attractions. We are not doing any digital marketing promotion to push people to sign up. That's not the intention. We are just building funnels to get leads of people that are potential, the youth that we are targeting with different kind of campaigns and all, but it's not regarding promotion or global volunteer. It's the same situation of break approval. Your MCVP operations will answer you all and also the education itself. Okay. LC management financially, I think I've covered previously regarding how we are going into a discussion with each of the LC. But the situations is talk to your LCVPFL and LCP. The things that you all need to do is the risk management process first. As I mentioned, like how MC has done it to check how is your LC financial situation before making any decision. I think how do we implement practically if more our touchpoint, the question is a bit general. Maybe you can be a bit more specific because I don't really understand what do you mean by practically, which aspect and also which area. Yeah. Hi, I'm Caleb. For OP, how do we charge our partner for one? It's the same. If you check out the timeline, the change management that's happening is that all the education for product pricing and also standards and all will be done by, will come like as time comes by in terms of what is the strategies and all. So I think really do look into the timeline to understand what is the change, because we are not completely shifting to the product directly. Okay. For all the charging local volunteers one, I think I'm answering to the same thing. Yeah. It can be same LC, it can be cross LC. I think that is the current situations that we have been discussing. Yes, you speak forum, you should all delay, because I think you should not have any physical activities until June. That is the official announcement from government. So even companies, it's all the same. You have to cancel all your events. Okay. Currently ready for event. Yes. So to answer for UNMC, it's not just LC. It's an official state from government. Every organization, including religious party and all, you have to stop all your events and physical activities, which means no one can run anything physically. Okay, wait. So I'm finishing the conversation with Sabrina first, okay? So practical doesn't mean it has to be a physical booth. So what I mean is, like, for example, if you're shifting your current focus to, let's say, brand advocacy campaign, so make sure when you are doing with your member, it comes with a direct actions or practical task. Let's say you want to run a campaign, it's not just about planning campaigns with your member, but you let them handle creation of the whole campaign. You let them handle the usage of social media. Like, this is what I mean by practical experience, which means they are doing the task, they are having tasks to do, other than just, because in VP layer, you're going to have a lot of firefighting and planning situations. You need to discuss with your EB and all these things and all, but at the same time, make sure that your members every week, they are having a practical challenge in hand, whether depending on what are the strategies. Like let's say for PD-IGV, they wanted to do, other than all the partners adjustment and contracts and all these things, let's say Travis is looking in, like LCVP, PD-IGV is looking into fundraising initiative and all. Your members should be having let's say, finishing the external report, proposing a proposal and all this. These are what it means by practical experience, but not just attending webinars of how to create proposal, for example. So that is the main meaning of what we mean by practical experience, okay? So, wait, local usage from, yes, it can be considered as your profit strategy, but the situations, as I told you, is already a national announcement that you should not have any forums or any activities until June, right? So it will be illegal if you were to do USpeak forum, because even national USpeak forum, we are proposing, we are already postponing all the way until behind July at least. So we are even looking into my LDS situation now, if it's still feasible to run as well. Yeah. I think for Pauline, how can we take care or communicate? Maybe your questions can be a bit more specific. So for example, you are talking about LC routine, you are talking about daily engagement, or what is that so? Yes, that's why we are not promoting exchange, right? Like, that's the things that I'm telling you. We are not doing promotions of exchange right now. I think one of the questions, to answer to these questions, right? I think one of the help that I need from you is really to think not just in terms as a LCP, but to think as a citizen as well. Because that's the questions that I'm telling LCP. A lot of the questions we are receiving from your member or your directors, it will be too slow if everything has to be, answered by MC, because there are only the 8 people answering all the questions. So think about it. I was also telling LCP the same thing. Like, let's say when LCP is asking me, hey, do you think we still need to promote exchange? What do you think instead? Your own personal stance. So some of the LCP were telling me that, of course, no, because during this period of time, we shouldn't encourage people to have more mobility because we need to stop the virus from happening. I think that's exactly the kind of conversations that's needed. So even for my own, personally, my stance as MCP, I don't think so exchange should be promoted at this period of time, because it doesn't make sense to ask people to go for exchange. But we are talking about realizations that happen, let's say, in July or August. If the situations can be more stable, then we can have small amount of exchange that happen organically if people still want to go on themselves. But nationwide, we are not pushing for exchange to happen anymore. That's why all the local volunteer and all these strategies, they are coming. But That is the stencil. And also, I think from yourself, digest this information as well. As a young person, what do you think of the situation? Yeah. I think, right, okay, so regarding wasting time in AIESEC as experience and expectation that we promise cannot be fulfilled, I am not entirely sure what does it mean by wasting time, because all the strategies and everything are already put there in terms of the things that we are still working on in terms of how to solve the situations. I think another things to be very upfront with the conversations is, especially for LCPs and LCVPs, the things that I will ask you is, your LC belongs to, basically it's like a startup that you manage yourself, right? The community that you manage yourself. Let's say if you're talking about AIESEC in some way, AIESEC in Taylor, AIESEC in UNMC, it doesn't belong to AIESEC in Malaysia. So this community, at this moment of time where usually the things that you do to impact your community around, you run what? You run exchange, right? But what is your core? Your core is leadership. That's why in the beginning when I'm showing you all the slides regarding leadership, regarding global phenomena, all these things, be very aware that this problem is not a problem that is facing by AIESEC alone, or even is facing by AIESEC in Malaysia alone. So all the situations that we are having now, it directly reflects the leadership situations of the world today, and also it reflects the world issues that we are facing today. So the questions that I would have to challenge you instead, at current moment of time, when we are a youth organization that we have been talking that what we care is leadership, what are the things that you can still do within the network and the community that you are having that can still impact in the ways that you perceive as, I'm doing a role in these current situations. So the example that I'm telling you just now, other than all the strategies MC is running, personally, me, myself, I'm having a lot of conversation with different MCPs or different entity. Why? Because I need to understand the real coronavirus situations in their entity for us to understand, is it even safe, or is your government even telling the right thing? There are many things that you can still provide as of an experience for your member at this moment of time, because that is exactly all the network and the things that you are having right now in the organization itself. So if today, because of coronavirus, and then your members start losing the fact that, yeah, if I cannot run exchange, then there's no point of me staying here, when the real global issue and the real world issue is happening, then I doubt what is the reason why you are in AIESEC as well. Because it's a real situation now. We are not having a world largest lesson, or we are not having a world session issue in a, in a conference like I paste some photos on the round and talk about world issue and what young people can do. But instead, this is exactly the situation right now. So what is the thought process you can bring into your EB team, or even as LCP? What are the conversations you all are having? Let's say if we are the only organization or only society in my uni right now that's talking about this as a real issues, what is my area of change? What can I do as of actions? So let's say from our side, I'm also trying to innovate a few more campaigns with my MC Director Marketing to see if we can spread more positivity during this period of time, provide information that is real to the people that we are communicating, and also run more, workshops, online engagements to bring young people that still care into the community itself. So I would say go a bit more innovative and also challenge yourself a bit more. Study the business model, take out AIESEC, and see as if you own the organization right now, what will you do at current situation with all the things we have been saying, other than financially sustaining, other than membership experience, but really to keep the core of leadership, even though we cannot run exchange right now. Just this period of time, we are not taking exchange out as of, the product until forever. That's not the situations that are happening, but at least we are quite sure that in current situation, we cannot run exchange. In July, let's say, we also cannot run exchange. So imagine if today you just enter AIESEC, you only have one peak, which is in January, we can have realization. So how will you innovate the current situation in your LC? If you don't have two peaks, you only have one peak, for example. Okay? Thank you so much for the questions. I really appreciate you bringing out all these challenging conversations, because I think that is the kind of conversation we need to have. Because I think there are many people who might be thinking about the same, but they don't know how to have the conversation or how to talk about it. So I would really encourage you to go back to your LC and talk to the people. As your EB team, talk about it, right? Challenge it as much as possible. Like, what are we doing as AIESEC? Even though we cannot run exchange now, is there really nothing that we can do? If we really think about, challenging the leadership situation or world issue. Then read back the slides. I'm only providing very minimal information, but if you were to go a bit more, you will see globally, leadership is in a very critical situations now. Not just in government, but also in each of the private sector. So what are we doing instead as a youth organization? Okay. Anyone else has any questions that you wanted to ask? I'm sorry it's a bit delayed because we are spending most of the time answering the questions that people are having. And I really want to appreciate whoever that have put up your questions to let us know what are the concerns you are having as well. Amazing. So I think we will consolidate all the questions we have, and also we'll put down the answers on the slides, so you can also get an output of these discussions. And if you have more questions, please feel free to we'll come up with a link that you can submit the questions as well. So just give it up to you got Kai, you help me to type, is it? If you have minute taking, it's even better. Then I don't need to type again. Yeah, so please do submit questions to us so we know what is your concern. And I really appreciate all of you to be here, spending the time with us, looking at the news, and also be still so enthusiastic about what are the things that we are going to change and also do. And I understand everyone is having a hard time now because of all the quarantine situations, no bread at the mall and all this situation. Please take care of yourself, wear masks, use hand sanitizer, stay indoor as much as possible, and all these things. Talk more with your members because they are also scared and they are completely new. They don't know what the hell is happening. Like, just enter AIESEC, everything is disappearing. And then exercise if you can. I don't know, build your body at current moment, read more, have some personal time and all these things. And shifting PA for sure, Kai. If your task is different, you're definitely gonna measure a different thing because there's a HR system, right? Yeah. So I wish everyone can stay safe during this period of time. And also, I hope we can have more fun virtually as well because everyone's going to spend time virtually. So if you have anything, feel free to talk to us, okay? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We will end the call here. Yeah. Bye-bye. Remember to watch the news tonight, 9 p.m. in our government page, okay? Because we will see whether we are going to be locked down or not, okay? Bye.